You've probably heard of exchanges like Coinbase, Binance, or FTX, especially FTX. But judging by sheer trading volume, Bybit ranks as the second largest crypto exchange in the world. The reason you've never heard of them is because they don't serve customers in the United States. Now, for most of its users, Bybit was supposed to be the safest name in the game, an unbreachable titan. But behind the scenes, Bybit runs on a service called Safe Wallet. Safe manages their wallets, making sure Bybit's hot wallets stay topped up from their cold wallets, and vice versa. Basically, instead of having all their users' cryptocurrency in a wallet connected to Bybit, the exchange only stores 5 to 10% of it online, keeping the rest in offline cold wallets. When the online wallets need to be topped up from the vaults, Safe uses a system requiring multiple signatures on every major transaction, ensuring no transaction is let through unless key individuals approve. This is a really good system that is constantly being updated. Behind this system is a massive team of developers. One of them has just received a Telegram message with an innocent-looking file attached. The man convinces the developer that it's in his best interest to help troubleshoot the project. What he doesn't know is that the project's website domain was registered just 2 days ago. He clicks the file. Everything looks fine, but in the background, a malicious Python script is using to execute malicious code. It contacts the following C2 servers. Then once contact has been made, it drops a second stage payload, a remote access Trojan. This specific rat is designed to target both Mac and Linux systems. It starts off by installing itself as a background process, or a daemon. Then it modifies the system startup settings to remain active even after a system reboot. Now it's ready to receive commands from the C2 server, so it contacts them using DNS tunneling or encrypted HTTPS. In this case, there's only one thing the hackers are looking for, so they tell the rat to search the system for all the developers' projects. Inside, they find the session token for his Amazon Web Services account. Using the session token, they can directly access the developer's account, avoiding any detection and even bypassing 2FA. This allows them to directly mess with Safe's website in real time. Once inside, they try and add their own device as an authenticator in order to take over the account, but this fails, so they decide to wait for a better opportunity. "15 days later, the attackers turn on a VPN and log into the developer's account. They know that every 2 to 3 weeks, Bybit does a routine transfer of funds from Safe's cold wallets to the Bybit hot wallets. Most of the time, peer reviews are required to make changes to the Safe website, but since this developer has higher access than most, he can bypass this feature. The hackers use this to their advantage and replace an innocent-looking JavaScript file on the website. At first, it does nothing. This is because it's using a for JavaScript to delay the execution till the coast is clear. The script is loaded up every time a user visits the website, and it's looking for a user transferring funds, a specific user transferring from the address, which is Bybit's Safe wallet. Once the user starts making the transfer request, the script checks if he's a signer by comparing his wallet address to a list of addresses stored in the code. Then it checks to see if he's making a standard transfer, and if he is, it starts manipulating the transaction. The script starts by cloning the transaction data to preserve its original content. In the background, it starts changing the destination address to a malicious smart contract. Then it changes the operation type to delegate call, which allows the contract to execute commands, essentially controlling the wallet from the outside. Then it spoofs an ERC20 transfer, making the signers believe they're still signing a normal transaction. It sets the value to 0 to make sure it looks harmless, and adjusts the gas fees to the expected values. The signers of the next transfer will obviously see the final destination of the funds as the Bybit hot wallet, but as you already know, they're actually signing off an update to their smart contract. This new contract upgrade has a few new clauses in it. First, the contract introduces a new fallback function that redirects transactions to an attacker's address. This ensures that any future transactions passing through the contract are silently manipulated in the background. Then it modifies the execution logic to include the delegate call operation, giving the hackers the same level of control as the real wallet owners. Finally, it adds a new hidden transfer function, which allows the hackers to use to drain all Ethereum from the wallet on execution. Right now, Bybit's CEO is on SafeWallet's website approving a transaction. He was notified a couple minutes ago that he needed to top up 30,000 Ethereum to make sure Bybit doesn't run out of funds. He checks the address. Everything looks fine. So he picks up his Ledger Nano to confirm the transfer. While the website is lying to him, the Ledger doesn't. So all he needs to do is press the right button twice to see the real destination. He's the last signer in the chain, so this would be smart. But instead, he just approves the transfer.
So I got a call from my CFO. So after I signed the transaction, about 30 minutes later, he called me. When I get the call, it was already, I know it's bad news because he typically don't call me. The guy likes to send message. He just doesn't like calls. He calls me the moment I pick up. It's him and my security team. That I know it's most likely a hacking happened. But then the transaction I signed was 30,000 Ethereum. So I was in my head trying to calculate 30,000. I forgot the price of Ethereum. So I was like, okay, 3,000, 30,000, 3,000. Okay, how much is that? And then this is it, Ben, something is very bad. I say, okay, well, we got hacked. I say, yes. I said, okay, the 30,000 is all gone. And that's when his voice starts shaking. And that's when I start to get a little bit shaky. I was like, okay, this is much worse. He says, no, Ben, it seems like it's the whole wallet. And I asked, what do you mean the whole wallet? What do we have in the wallet? Because I don't know. He said about 400,000 Ethereum. And I was like, okay, how much is that? And he said $1.5 billion.
This is a PR nightmare, but he already knows the money's gone. He decides the best move going forward is to be completely transparent about what just happened and hope the company doesn't fall victim to a bank run. There's already 4,000 withdrawals in the queue, but he knows he can't stop people from leaving. He hops on a live stream just 2 hours after the event, tells Bybit customers that he's already secured a bridge loan to cover the lost funds, and that all customer funds are safe since this loss is only going to affect Bybit. He manages to stop his company from going bankrupt. After the live stream, he begins to work on a new project that he hopes will save the lost funds. He offers 10% of the stolen crypto to anyone who can help recover it. He also reaches out to fellow exchanges to ask them to beware of frequent transfers coming in on the Ethereum network. Even after all this, he still doesn't know how it all happened, because the malicious file has now been removed off the site and been reverted back to its original counterpart. At the same time, the hackers have already started laundering the stolen Ethereum. I mean, this is without a doubt their biggest heist ever, so they obviously want to convert all the Ethereum to Bitcoin as fast as they can. While doing this, they make one small mistake. The goal is to break up the money into smaller pieces, then passing it through crypto exchanges to turn it into Bitcoins. This is usually done on decentralized exchanges that don't require ID verification, like Thorchain. Now, during the first step, they ended up sending money to an address they had already used before to launder funds from a different heist. A few weeks ago before this attack, another crypto exchange, Femex, was hacked by the same group. They lost around $69 million, and a small piece of their Ethereum was passed through the address. Just 2 days later, Bybit funds were sent to the same address. This was discovered by the blockchain investigator, ZachXBT, and after looking into it further, he realizes the group behind the attack is a team known as Trader, a subgroup of the much larger Lazarus group. They're responsible for hacking companies like Sony, Stake, and Atomic Wallet. And in my opinion, there's really no one else that could have pulled this off. The thing with North Korean hackers is that when they take your money, you're probably not going to get it back. So at this point, Bybit's bounty program seemed like it would not yield much result. They still went through with it, however, and a few days later, LazarusBounty.com goes live, offering $140 million in rewards to any exchange willing to freeze the funds, and any investigator who could track those funds down. As of today, they've recovered around $45 million and dished out around $2.2 million in rewards. This is barely 3.5% of the stolen tokens. During this time, Ethereum has lost around 32% of its value due to the hackers selling almost all the tokens for Bitcoin, but around $1 billion are still being tracked today across 8,800 different wallets. They can track it all they want, but the money's never coming back. And at the end of the day, the biggest L in this entire story is just that Bybit was holding over $1 billion in Ethereum.
Blow bands, blow bands. Blow bands, blow bands, blow bands. Check my pants, they say true, man. Blow bands, blow bands. bands. Check my pants, they say true, man.